Boys and girls, this is Ben Corker from BenzoChess.com here with another video, another tactic, one of the millions of tactics out there. And this one is the first video of attacking the king's cover. So, total of 9 problems, and I challenge you to get 100% on this. It's very difficult to get 100% correct on all 9. If you want to, you can try again. After you try this, uh, you get a good score, you can go on to the next video. Or if you want to try to get 100%, and if you don't do it this week, or at least this try it next week. Okay, after this try. So you already know the drill. Let's get this on. Okay, so the first one, well, okay, it's white to move here. Okay, so pause your video. Okay, the answer to this, it's rook takes h7 check, a sacrifice. So the king's gonna take, he's kind of forced, and then we got a queen here and checkmate. And how come we're gonna move it back when the rook takes? How come the king can't just simply move here? Because of this bishop here, it's actually covering that square. So that's why the king's forced to take the rook, and then queen comes in and checkmate. Okay, so let's do the second one. This should be a very easy one. White to move. Pause your video. Okay, hopefully it didn't take you this long, or that long. F6 is the move for white. Now, black can't take the f6 pawn because he's in a pin, so he has to push the g6. And now, just slide your queen over to h6, and it's checkmate in a couple moves, or at least one more move. Yup. Okay. Number 2 was pretty easy. How about number 3? It is also white to move. Pause your video. Okay. Should also be another simple one. Rook takes h5, and after the pawn takes, you take back with h5. And now the threat of the combination of both the bishop and the rook aiming at the square is gonna be checkmate. For example, maybe the rook will move out of the way, so hopefully the king can escape, but too late, so sad. The king is dead. So, okay. Number 4. Here's number 4, and it is white to move. It looks like black's gonna come in and win the game, but actually white can win this game still. So white to move. Pause your video. You ready? Here it is. Queen takes a7 check. A total queen sacrifice. The king will take, and now the pawn will take on b6 check, being protected. This pawn is being protected by this bishop, if you haven't seen that, while this rook is checking the king. Okay? So, king moves out of the way, and now it's checkmate. Thanks to this bishop here protecting the rook and attacking the king, right? Okay. So that was number 4. They're going to start getting harder and harder. So, here's number 5. You can probably take a break after this one. It is white to move. Pause your video. Okay. The answer for white is another queen sacrifice. A lot of these queen sacrifices are cool, but you have to see through them, okay? So after the queen takes, b will take c6, and now we just slide our bishop over to check the king. And notice the king can't go anywhere. He can't even go around the dark squares because of this bishop here attacking these 2 squares. Okay? So that's number 5. If you need to, go ahead, take a water break, soda break, Any type of break, maybe get up, stretch, and then pause your video before you do that, and then come back and unpause your video. Okay? So you can pause it now, do that. Otherwise, here we go. Number 6. It is white to move here. Pause your video. You ready? Answer is rook takes h7 check. The king's going to take, and now queen will take f7. King will go to h6. Rook to h1. Queen's going to block with h4. And then rook takes h4 checkmate. Okay? That was number 6. Let's go with number 7. Number 7. This is a little bit tricky, but it's difficult until you see it. And when you see it, it's easy and crazy. Okay. Black to move. Pause your video. Okay. The answer for black is queen to a3. Just adding more pressure on that b2 pawn. That pawn's having a lot of pressure on him. Okay. And how most likely white will play. White will sacrifice everything and try to stay alive. For example, well, let's just see what happens. Okay. Let's say b takes a3, right? Let's say the pawn takes the queen. Pawn takes back, ends checkmate. Because this bishop is covering these two squares, right? And also, this rook is attacking the king. So that's just one. Now what if we did b3? Well then, checkmate that way. So the only other way to survive a little bit longer, a couple more moves, make the game last 3 more moves, is queen takes g7, which is really nothing. King will take back, knight sacrifice, pawn will take, and now, what about b takes c3? You will take back with another check from the rook. Rook checks the king. Okay. He moves and checkmate. Okay. That was number 7. Number 8. Okay. It is white to move. Should be simple. Pause your video. Okay. You're back. h6 is the move. And it's game over. Lights out America. g6 is played. Queen to f6. Should be checkmate very quickly. Maybe, who knows what black does? Black does anything, for example, takes the pawn. You got the checkmate, right? Okay. And the last one. This one seems a little bit tricky, but it's, once you see it, it makes sense. Okay, so white to move. Last one, pause your video. Okay, you're back. Let's get the answer going. The answer is queen to e4. With the combined powers of the queen and the bishop, we put a lot of pressure on that pawn, and it should be checkmate very quickly. So, oh, and also, this pawn can't move because of this bishop is actually pinning it, right? So the only real way to survive for black, or last a couple more moves, is to totally sacrifice the queen to protect the pawn on b7. Queen will take. Now b5 is played for defense. Now queen will move back, once again with the threat of checkmate. Nothing you can do. Maybe black will play some random moves like taking the rook. Doesn't matter. You just go for the checkmate. Okay? So those are the 9 problems. I hope you enjoyed this video, and get ready for the next video to come up soon, unless if it's already up. And keep up with your studies.